So this is a video extending the notes we took yesterday about chemical bonds. And so what I want to go over today with you is going to be ionic bonds and going through how we form them from their ions. So yesterday I mentioned the fact that there are three types of bonds: ionic, metallic, and covalent, and it all has to do with valence electrons. So as I go through this video, you might want to stop the video on occasion as you're copying things down and then start it back up when we get to material that you need to pay attention to. So what I'm going to start off with first is making of the ions, so cations and anions. So cations are always going to be from metals. So we have sodium ion here, and sodium is going to become a +1 charge. So if I write the noble gas configuration, I will see that sodium is neon 3s1. So of course, sodium ion makes the logical sense that it loses its outermost electrons to become that ion. So it becomes essentially neon. Okay, so we're going to write down lost 1 electron, and we're going to use that for our next part here in a second. So then we have anions, the non-metals. So those are on the right-hand side of the periodic table. So Cl, if I were to write its noble gas configuration, is neon 3s2 3p5. So we know Cl becomes a minus charge because it wants to fill up that p orbital. Okay, so we have neon 3s2 3p6, or we could just write it as argon. So all of this we've done before, but the new thing we're going to focus on is it's gaining 1 electron. Okay, it's gaining 1 electron. Well, what we're going to talk about is the metal has to lose the electron to the non-metal. So what I'd like you to draw is an arrow from the lost electron to the gained electron. So what we call this is a transfer. Okay, and words are going to be important for this, transfer. So once I have created a sodium ion and a chloride ion, essentially what I get is a bond between them. And the bond is because I have a positive and a negative. And so this bond is what we call a force. So that is why we're bringing up Coulomb's law again, because we do have a force between the positive and the negative. Okay, so we are going to go back to a long, long time ago with this. So if I have a +1 and a -1, okay, and I put it together as NaCl. That's because all ionic compounds are what we call electrically neutral. So everything has to equal 0. So back a long time ago when we started writing formulas, we mentioned the fact that everything has to come to 0. So we're coming back to that idea. Now, more specifically, when we're talking about bonds, okay, ionic bonds are going to be between a cation and an anion. And the word you must pay attention to when we are talking about ionic bonds is it is the transfer of electrons. It is the transfer of electrons. So I'm going to show you now how I want you to make an ionic bond, or the steps that we're going to take in order to do that.